hard jacks. Do you know who drinks these?
I don't.
Buddy Slade.
Buddy Slade. It's an interesting fact.
Come here. Do you want to know why I'm really in town?
Yes.
I can't tell you in here.
Okay. Got me out here.
All right. Here's the deal. Buddy Slade and I are meant to be together. And I'm here to get him back.
Buddy Slade? All right. I'm pretty sure he's married with a kid on the way.
No, kid's here. She already had it. I'm cool with it. I mean, I've got baggage too.
So, are you not joking?
Oh, God, man, I get it. People won't understand. But you know, these things happen. In real life, they actually happen. They just tend to happen in slow motion. They get divorced. They reconfigure. And society is, like, fine with that. If you take your time, like an emotional glacier, I'm 37.
Mavis, I would keep all of this to yourself. I would find a therapist. Talk to a professional.
Matt.
Oh, boy.
I get it. Love conquers all. Have you not seen The Graduate? Or, like, I don't know, anything? Oh, a taxi.
Yes, we called it. Mavis, hey, Buddy Slade has a life.
Buddy Slade has a life. No, he has a baby, and babies are boring.
Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show, everyone.
Does this song bring you back, Pete?
If I ever walk into a bar and play It's a Shame About Ray and Dinosaur Jr., Feel the Pain in a row, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm no longer a cool person.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Pete.
And I'm Scott. And these are the movies that made us gay. Kelly Hardy, welcome back to the show. It's been a while since we've had you on. You were on for our Baby Jane episode. Welcome back.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you so much. We're so excited to have you.
We saved a really good movie to talk about. Our first Charlize Theron film of the podcast, I think.
Well, that deserves another cheer.
I know. I mean, I really wanted to talk about Charlize, and what a perfect movie to talk about. We watched Young Adult, directed by Jason Reitman, written by Diablo Cody, released December 9th, 2011. Welcome to the show.
Yes.
Very excited to talk about this rascal of a movie that I love.
I didn't know if I was going to like it initially, but I remember watching with you and just being like, you know, I kid about the songs in this movie, the soundtrack, but they are really perfect choices for these people in particular.
We saw this together at the Santa Anita Mall, December of 2011.
The Arcadia Mall.
The Arcadia Mall.
Yeah, love it. Wow.
For our San Gabriel SGV listeners.
Yeah, it's a lovely mall.
It's our favorite mall.
No Apple Store.
No Apple Store.
I mean, we can do an entire mall podcast, the two of us. We love going to the mall. But there's no Apple Store, there's no Lego store, but it is still a good mall. How do you like that? I mean...
Yeah, we saw it in that AMC.
Okay, cool. Kelly, do you remember when you first saw this movie? Did you see it in the theater?
Oh, man. When I first saw this movie, it was in my home. I saw it. I had an advanced screener because I was fancy.
Ooh, okay.
Very fancy. So some friends came over. We're watching it. I had just adopted a rat dog, like Charlize in the movie. I was just a few years divorced. I had just acquired a rat dog.
Oh, my God.
I drive the car she drives in the movie. And Teenage Fanclub is one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
So it's a horror film. So my friends are in my home meeting my new rat dog.
Borderline documentary.
Borderline documentary. Meeting my new rescue rat dog for the first time.
Oh.
And the film ends, and I loved it, and I was having a great time. And no one else in the room was.
Sure.
Yeah.
Crickets.
And then my dog bit everyone. Which is kind of the best way, I think, to see this film.
Yeah. And good night, everyone. See you next time.
Right.
Come over again. Wow, that's amazing. I love that. That's
But yeah, I remember I think this movie did pretty well critically. It got Charlize a Globe nomination. She was sort of in the Best Actress kind kind of talks, but she didn't make it. 2011 was a weird Best Actress year. We'll save that. You don't want me just rattling on about stuff like that. But I think that the public's initial reaction to this movie was very chilly.
Well, I think, like you were saying, Kelly, earlier, your friends were not super into the movie. And it's that thing where Mavis, as a character, you know, we have this thing built into our like subconscious nowadays in 2022. We're supposed to like these characters in the movies that we're watching. And if we don't like them, then now, I think nowadays more than ever, people are like, that movie was bad because that character was bad.
It's kind of like the reception of that Rosamund Pike Netflix movie, I Care a Lot.
I Care a Lot, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of the discourse with people online about that movie that didn't quite get that it was a satire.
Yeah, and I think now, too, it's like a lot of, you know, forgive me, younger movie goers, a lot of maybe the Gen Z crowd are really the ones that kind of champion that whole like, oh, I Care a Lot wasn't good. I didn't like it because you know, these characters were so awful. And
she's like, doing terrible things and it's a bad movie.
She's acting in this movie. That's not...
Well, at the time, do you guys remember how weird people were about Diablo Cody?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
I think that was
absolutely.
We talked about
so
that.
loaded.
We talked about that on our Jennifer's Body episode of just sort of there being I mean, it was all fallout from her winning the Oscar for Juno, her first script, which
Her first horror movie.
bold of just sort of giving a rookie screenwriter an Oscar for their first movie out of the gate.
Yeah.
And there was just some initial Diablo Cody hate, especially around the time Jennifer's Body came out. It had kind of dwindled a little bit from 2011, but this is around the time that she also deleted her Twitter too.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So she had a really big Twitter account, a kind of one of the first big that Twitter celebrities that I would follow.
Kind of like like semi-viral, you know, just a little quippy.
Yeah, she was really funny on Twitter in the late 2000s, and she just deleted it.
So
just because of
trolls. What do you think about the kind of blowback against Diablo Cody? Is it the whole like, I wrote a book about stripping? Like, I don't know. I never kind of was able to wrap my head around it.
I didn't totally get it either. I think that I like everything she does.
Yeah,
I mean,
same.
I love horror films, and I think she makes really, really unique ones. And I love Jennifer's Body. And I loved Tully, which is like also a horror film. But you know, I think Diablo Cody is the kind of person, especially for her time, that people either like really loved or really hated.
Right.
And you know, I don't know. You can't separate out that she's a woman writing about like a very particular female experience.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know. We kind of have to take it in the context of who critics were at the time.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
like, you know, you didn't have people like Jen Yamato from the LA Times
Primarily
writing
male.
about, so it was primarily male and
straight white guys.
yeah, I'm almost like even afraid to touch that question because it's like,
sure.
I
That's
don't want to
fine.
say it's just
Yeah.
sexism because there's also like her vibe was a lot at the time, and I think you either like you were with it or you weren't.
I think that was a lot of it too, like specifically like her vibe, and like I was saying, you know, there's that whole like puritanical, idea of like, well, you know, she wrote that book, and like the whole like exotic dancer situation, which I think is funny. It's like, that's great. Like, come on. She like,
and also she just has
did a research.
She has a very unique story that she was kind of one of the early bloggers in the early 2000s. And Jason Reitman would read it and just thought she was funny and was just like, you should write me a movie.
The only thing for me is the name, the pseudonym. I was like, come on, what are you doing with this?
Her real name is Brooke.
Come on.
That actually might
UC.
be all of it. It might be
Sure.
the name that just is so loaded for people.
It's very loaded. But now in 2022, like I watch the special features on this Blu-ray, and now I'm watching this stuff, and I'm just like, Jason Reitman, get the hell out. He's the one now that I'm like, have problems with.
Well, also, Jason Reitman.
Not that he's problematic, but my whole thing is just like,
sort of
okay, your
classic nepotism that he did get this entire career handed to him. I mean, most of his movies are good, but also most of his movies are kind of terrible.
Are you talking about Labor Day? Are you talking about the Sexy Pie movie?
Labor Day, the Sexy Pie. Do you know that when we saw Labor Day at the ArcLight opening day, we were given Purex pie tins?
Pyrex, yeah.
Pyrex glass.
Pyrex.
Oh my God.
I know.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So
and they were giving them to everyone, so we got two.
So I feel like
amazing.
Still to this day, I'm just like, Labor Day not that bad, just because I walked out of the ArcLight with
first of all,
with a nice pie.
First of all, I was with you. I got my Pyrex pie. It's not a tin because it's Pyrex, but I will be damned if I don't remember that Jason Reitman directed Labor Day.
Jason Reitman directed Labor Day.
Not for nothing. We saw it. We were like, that was good. That was kind of good. But, I think my thing with him is, he's like, at this time, he's like super young. Up in the Air is just like this huge phenomenon, which I was telling Scott earlier this morning.
Up in the Air is good.
Never saw it. Don't really have
Not
an inclination to see it in 2022. So he's this young guy, and he does Up in the Air. It's great. It's got Clooney. It's got like Vera Farmiga, right? And then, we're watching these special features, and he's like, "Oh, I got the script for young adult, and I was just like, I'm going to make this movie." Like, oh, well, all right.
I have the sway in this town to make this movie.
Okay. Well, that's how it is. So, and I mean, listeners, if you're not familiar, Jason Reitman's father is Ivan Reitman of Ghostbusters fame, who of late,
I know, very topical,
is, getting kind of some attention from
He's getting
Anna
kind
Faris?
of dragged from Anna Faris because he was not very pleasant to her and kind of mean on the set of My Super Ex-Girlfriend.
Yeah, My Super Ex-Girlfriend. I always want to say My Stupid Ex-Girlfriend.
I want to say My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
That's what me and Jose used to go. So I feel like nowadays, I'm looking at Jason Reitman, and it's just my little insecure kind of jealousy, just being like, shut up.
Is it because he's our age?
Yes. Absolutely. It's like, okay, you were able to just, I want to be a director. All right. I'm sure he did the work, but I'm also sure that Ivan Reitman did a lot of work.
He's got really great taste in his partnerships, though.
He does.
Diablo Cody's brilliant. Gil Keenan, who did Ghostbusters Afterlife, is an absolute genius of everything he's made.
Oh, he wrote Monster House.
Yes.
Yeah. He's had a few big...
He's
and also
the
really
Poltergeist
dumb.
remake. Yeah, yeah. Gil Keenan's
He's
already
also young.
The Poltergeist remake. Wow.
I loved that, too.
That's because you are really into Sam Rockwell, probably.
We watched the Poltergeist.
No lies detected.
We watched the Poltergeist remake, and we're like, so is Jared Harris the Tangina of this movie? Because we watch a remake or a reboot, and we're the ones sitting there going, "Who is the analogy per character?" Which usually they do, and we're both just like, "I guess Jared Harris is the Tangina of this movie," which I love. But
I guess that the production of Labor Day was postponed. It was pushed to 2012, and Diablo just wrote this movie as a spec. And I think just gave it to him, and he was like, "I'll make it."
Yeah. So
this movie got made because Labor Day's production was pushed.
It's a hero story.
Yeah. So the sensibilities of the characters in this movie, and even in something like Juno, are very specific. Again, very our age. The soundtracks to both of these movies are very much
went to high school in the
90s.
In the 90s.
Yeah, the middle 90s, the middle to late 90s. Is that Diablo? Is that Jason? Is that both of them coming together?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was joking at the beginning, but I didn't really realize until I was listening on headphones to the clip that as soon as they walk outside, Feel the Pain by Dinosaur Jr. starts after It's a Shame About Ray was playing in the bar.
She walks into the bar and a really good Replacement song is playing too.
Yes, and then the actual tape that they use
Oh, yes.
On film. It's that, I forget which brand it is, but it's that like yellow and like
it's see-through.
Pink. It's the clear one with those colors.
Everybody remembers that tape.
Yeah. I mean, people who remember tapes remember that tape. And just like her car had a tape deck in it. My truck was it was a 2002. So that tracks. It had a tape deck and a CD player.
I had a car in the 2000s that had a tape deck in it.
Yeah, 2000s cars would have had them. I wonder when they stopped putting tape decks in cars. I wonder when they stopped putting CD players in cars. I had a car once that I had to have it was a tape with a cord attached to it that you could plug into your CD player,
your Discman,
or your Discman, or later on, I drove that car until the wheels broke off, and my iPod, it plugged right into the iPod, and so yeah, it was the truck because
I remember that
there was no how else would you get my iPod to play on a tape deck / CD player? It was that tape thing. Man, we're old, but those are the days. So Mavis and. Mavis starts this movie as like a ghostwriter.
She's a ghostwriter.
I think this is really funny.
She's a ghostwriter of young adult fiction. I used to work at Barnes & Noble for almost 10 years, so I was very familiar just with this genre. I worked in the kids section for a majority of the time. I was the kids lead, so I got very familiar with YA. They call it YA. That's book industry talk.
Sure.
So I would get very familiar with all of these types of books. And most of these books, I mean, a lot of major authors do this.
Yeah.
A lot of them are ghost written by another person. And she mentions to the bookman when she's wanting to sell them that you can find her name in the title page because the main author is credited on the jacket, but they're usually written by someone else.
Sure.
And all of these
authors...
Doesn't
even, like, Ludlum do that kind of stuff? Like, a lot of those guys.
I mean, James Patterson does that.
It's not just because... It's not just
what?
YA. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. James Patterson does that. Well, also, James Patterson, within the past, 10 years, he's been crediting the person that writes it with him or writes the book on the cover. So at least him now has kind of caved to
James Patterson
the public... thinking that he's written all of his books. Like, he credits the person with them.
James Patterson with Mavis Gary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because James Patterson puts out like 5 books a year.
Yeah.
And they'll range from thrillers, nonfiction, he writes a lot of young adult now.
Oh. Or his ghostwriter.
Yeah.
I feel like the only acceptable way to do that is to say it's a James Patterson Presents. I'm horrified that he's taking oh my God.
James Patterson Presents.
Credit,
yeah. See, nowadays it's not a thing.
But at least he credits them on the jacket now.
Based on like Sweet Valley High, I'm assuming, kind of a
it's
thing.
Kind of a very it's a very Sweet Valley High.
But doesn't Sweet Valley High still have that thing where they're written by the lady who's like
Francine Pascal?
Yeah.
Very good.
I don't even like Sweet Valley High, but those covers have just haunted
burned into our brain.
I remember also in the late 2000s, Diablo was attached to adapting a Sweet Valley High movie.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know if it just became young adult
as
she was doing it, but I remember there was something that I read that she was doing some sort of a script for Sweet Valley High.
Not to get off on a tangent. We will get back to this immediately. But was she not attached to the Barbie movie?
I think that she did a pass of the Barbie script.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, there might be leftover story elements from her, but I don't think that she's the credited screenwriter anymore.
Not that I'm not excited to see the... who's doing it?
Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig.
Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig.
Wild.
So Ken is having a midlife crisis and leaves Barbie for... a younger woman, like, I don't know.
Leaves Barbie for
I don't know what's going to go on with this.
For his assistant or younger actress.
I do want Squid and the Whale,
and
Barbie.
I was going to say Barbie gets her, like, Brooklyn Brownstone, like, in the divorce. Come on. What do these two have to say about Barbie?
Barbie is teaching it like NYU.
For crying out loud.
Skipper's getting drunk at school and, like, jerking off in the library, wiping it all over the books.
Oh, my God. So... I love the idea that Mavis has reached a certain level of not fame but success.
She can pay her rent in this
high rise
Minneapolis apartment. My sister, when she was living in Minneapolis, I think lived in this exact apartment
And
building.
you have
that looked over the river.
And you have good things to say about Minneapolis.
Yeah, Minneapolis is kind of a rad city.
Sure.
I was surprised when I went there of just how cool it was.
Yeah.
It's a good place.
Yeah. But I mean, in the context, I guess, of...
The Minneapolis.
Yeah, the Minneapolis.
The
and
apple.
I had never heard that, the Minneapolis.
The Minneapolis.
I guess in the context of this script and how we as the viewer are supposed to take it is like, she's successful, but it's not New York. Like, it's still Minnesota, right? Like, it's still, like, Chicago adjacent. So she's successful
published
for...
author, which is very impressive.
Yeah, she's successful for Mercury.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't know. I think it's a nice touch. Like, if this was a Netflix movie, she would be living in, like, you know...
Oh, she would be living in the Ghost Loft.
The loft from Ghost. Yeah. In New York, yeah, in the meatpacking district.
And that's what's interesting about the script is that Diablo takes a lot of generic romantic comedy elements and kind of presents it in a way of this is how all of these events would go down in real life.
Yeah.
Of that, if you make a movie like My Best Friend's Wedding, in real life when Julia's trying to take back her friend, steal him from Cameron Diaz, it's just going to be sad. It's going to be sad and kind of disturbing when you actually see her do it.
I mean, that's another one on retrospective when we watch My Best Friend's Wedding. You're like, she is terrible. But it's Julia. So
and a lot of that's built into the movie, but it's
Yeah.
still living in that fantasy romance
Yeah.
world,
Yeah.
too.
And so Mavis, like we're saying, she has this level of success, but it's still this kind of believable, like, you know, real world kind
I
of
love
thing.
movies that their main character lives in an apartment that's a mess. You never see that in movies. Of just how people's apartments look.
Yeah. I also love just the little bit that her TV's always on and it's always on E.
It's always on a reality show.
It's just whatever.
They picked a good reality. I mean, this movie opens with Kendra. I remember
I thought it was The Hills. It was, yeah.
Kendra Wilkinson's short-lived spin-off of The Girls Next Door.
Oh, I thought it was The Girls. It's not The Girls Next Door.
It's Kendra.
It's just actually
It's when she
Kendra's
married
show.
when she moved out of the Playboy Mansion and was married to Hank Baskett.
Yeah.
And I think this show maybe lasted like 2 seasons.
Sure.
But also a good choice of the Kardashians. It's aged well. That it's not like it's a weird one-off reality show that went nowhere.
Yeah. But, like, I don't know that Mavis is really paying that much attention. It's just on.
It's just on his background.
Like, for me, when I live alone, the TV is on every moment that I'm awake, whether I'm watching it or not. That's just the kind of person I am. I need my friends with me, you know, my friends, the Drummonds, and well, I don't know. Would that be on, like... Oh, that's on demand. I could watch Different Strokes 24 hours a day if I wanted to. And those are my buddies from back in the day. So, like Mavis, I get that. And just the touch that it's, you know, reality TV is, I think it's real. It's funny. It's smart. And yeah, like you said, the apartment's a mess. Her printer's out of ink. Like,
yeah, like we have a printer. I'm looking at it right now, and there is no ink in that printer.
There is no ink.
There has not been
There's
ink
cartridges.
in that. There's not been ink in that printer for
quite a few years.
There's
cartridges.
Pretty much since we bought it.
Well, I mean, when I did work in an office, it's like, why bother? I just print everything there.
Yeah. It's there for when I need it.
Yeah. Do you miss that white MacBook?
Yeah, I had one exactly like that.
Well, I think her white MacBook should have been dirtier.
Oh, so rewatching it, that was the first thing that struck me was how grimy.
Oh, was it dirty? Oh, okay.
It's
okay.
really
maybe
dirty.
Maybe I wasn't paying
And
that
it was
close
beautiful.
attention.
It was just
okay,
like,
yeah.
oh, right. Like, this is the first indication we get that
Yeah.
this person is garbage.
Yeah.
Everybody knows when your Mac keyboard gets really disgusting. And
Just buy a new
And it
computer.
gets
Yes.
dirty, and you have to get out like the wipes
like, why
and
would I
clean
get-
every single button.
Q-tips and alcohol? No, I need a new MacBook at this point.
But you know what kind of Mavis's go-to is that you are drinking right now?
The Diet Coke.
The Diet Coke.
Okay, so
I want to hear your take on
the
Mavis's
shots of
relationship with
her
soda.
pulling out the 2-liter of Diet Coke. And like Kelly, like you said earlier, like a hamster in a cage to
Just
the water
sucking on
bottle.
it.
I have no problem with that aesthetic because this morning as you were drinking your coffee, I said, there's no soda in the fridge and I would very much like a Diet Coke right now. And so you went and got one for me. I think for me, the 2-liter bottle goes flat too fast. You have to tighten it tighter than I don't have a good analogy for tightness right now, but you have to tighten it really tight, and if not, it goes flat, and I have a problem with flat soda, right? So for me, I like sodas out of a can, and especially a Diet Coke, cold, out of a can, out of your fridge is the best. I know everybody has thoughts on McDonald's fountain soda being really good, which I'm not above. But to me, I would prefer a canned soda. And I think Mavis would have open, half-empty cans of Diet Coke littered around her apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing against the 2-liter bottle. I'm just saying they get it flat a little too fast. But maybe she doesn't care about flatness, and she just needs that that flavor profile.
There's also sort of a connection between people. You get 3/4 of the way into the film, and Mavis is sitting with her parents and says, "I think I'm an alcoholic."
Yeah.
And Diet Coke is the drink of alcoholics everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, this is kind of a great."
That's what's also
kind of a good detail.
That's what's also interesting about this movie is that Mavis is an alcoholic, clearly, but it's never directly about Mavis's drinking problem or being an alcoholic. I mean, it adds to what a train wreck she is, but it's just sort
not
of
her arc.
It's just sort of there, which
it's an accessory.
Casual alcoholism.
Yeah. I mean, give me a good Jack and Diet, and I am set to start my
to start watching the Drummonds.
Absolutely. Jack and Diet. I would get a rum and diet at the Roost. I would know and get my rum and diet ready for me. But yeah, you're right. Diet Coke, love it. So I guess that kind of leads to the whole idea of Mavis Gary being what you would refer to as, what is it? A static character? Is it static character? In that she does not grow at all. Mm-hmm. In this movie, her character has no arc.
She almost does, and we'll talk about that scene when we get to it.
Yeah, but at the end of this movie, she has not made any. Well, her revelation is, "You're right. I am better than everyone here," which is exactly what I thought when I got to this.
Which is a very bold move for a screenplay. Too.
Yeah.
So we should probably set up the story of this movie that she gets an emailed birthing announcement from her ex-boyfriend that they just had a baby girl, and just very much, we had a kid. If you're in town, make it to our baby
ceremony.
shower.
Yeah, naming ceremony.
I don't think I've ever been invited to something like this, but of course they happen.
At least he says, it's this little hippie thing that we're doing. At least he acknowledges it.
And
this was kind of weird.
This was before gender reveal parties, too.
It was.
Gender reveal parties are probably something from the, when did gender reveal parties become a thing? Probably
middle of the last decade?
Around 2015 or so.
Did TikTok really just break them?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird little thing. I guess a baptism would have been a little, I don't know. She couldn't have that meltdown at a baptism. That would have been, then we really would have hated her.
Yeah.
I think if it was a baptism, we'd be like, okay, this is beyond, I'm out. This character sucks.
So Mavis gets it in her head that Buddy Slade, her ex-boyfriend, that she's going to win him back. This was kind of peak Mavis at this time. Mavis in high school. She was a beautiful high school mean girl. Kind of the best moments in her life were with Buddy. So she's going to go get him back. She's going to steal him from his wife and newborn baby and bring him back to Minneapolis.
Yeah. And hilarity ensues. I just like the idea of she gets an email, and it's not even from Buddy, it's from the wife, right? Or is it from Buddy?
I think that just the wife just was in Buddy's email and just sort of did a reply all, or just sort of sent it to everyone.
So she gets this email with it's a announcement for this party. It's got a picture of a baby on it, but that doesn't matter. She still prints it out on her shitty printer with no ink, and it's all disgusting, and is carrying it around and just looking at it, and keeps bringing the email up as she's trying to write. She'll like click her email thing and it like pops up again.
Did you notice the voice of her editor, who it was?
It's J.K. Simmons,
J.K.
isn't
Simmons,
it?
yep. Mm-hmm. Kind of a staple Jason Reitman actor.
But yeah, I just love this. Like initially, right off the bat, we get this crazy like obsession, and you know, the email is not. It's not his picture. It's not a picture of Buddy. It's a picture of a baby. So she doesn't care about the baby. She hates the baby, but she keeps pulling up the email. She keeps looking at it, and she has the printout that she shows the friend, and she's just like, "Look at this. Like this means something, right? Like just trying to like add some.
It's a sign.
Yeah, it's a.
Why did I get this?
Yeah. So I just kind of love that little like initial obsession that she has, and yeah, I get that. Like what you were saying, that like the best years of her life maybe were high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which is like
it was her time with Buddy.
Okay,
and she's seeing that Buddy is at a place in his life that she is not there.
Right,
and why is that? This is a beautiful woman that I don't know. She's probably had a lot of things handed to her just because she looks the way she does. Mm-hmm. And she's finally seeing something that she does not have and she wants.
Sure. I really like the scene with her and her friend when she's kind of showing her the invite. And they're just like, yeah, we got out. We got out. Like, thank God we're not in Mercury anymore. Those idiots.
But they didn't get far enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is always an element of the story that I can relate to a lot is complicated relationships with your hometown when you move away.
Oh, yeah.
Are you from LA? Are you from...
So I grew up just outside of Los Angeles, very, very close to Peter. Actually, I think Peter and I grew up in the same town.
I moved to that town in my late teens.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're from the same place-ish,
yeah.
And I have a very fraught relationship with it. And I also moved, I got out. I was like, all right, I have like a moderate degree of success. Like I'm getting out of this town. And I also didn't get far enough.
Yeah. That's the thing about the greater Los Angeles area. There are parts of it that are little insular towns, you know, and places, you know. So, but then when you do move just into another part of LA, you feel like you got out. You're like, oh, I'm not in Alhambra anymore. But,
I'm in the big city now.
But you're still just like a couple exits away.
Exactly.
Yeah. But Mavis looks like a couple hours, maybe. Her little drive back. The drive back into Mercury, I love because
I like it's on the poster, which I just noticed today before recording, but the Victoria's Secret bag.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Just sort of a makeshift purse, put all this shit in the Victoria's Secret bag.
And the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. So this is a Pomeranian, Dolce?
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
And I know that Jason Reitman picked this dog because there's just a quality about Pomeranians that are always happy. They always have that smile. And it's kind of a funny juxtaposition of how miserable Mavis is with this happy dog.
This little dog.
How she treats this little dog.
She doesn't mistreat Dolce. She just doesn't treat him at all.
She just leaves him in the hotel room.
She just ignores him. And I don't think that Poms are always happy. They always have a smile on their face.
Yeah.
Because if someone else were to walk into that hotel room...
Oh, they would be attacking them.
Yeah, Dolce would not be happy. And he would just be attacking them with a smile on his face. Because that's just what they look like. But he's cute as hell. But the little, like... When she is back in her apartment the first time and she opens up the little, like, Caesar, like, dog food. She's like, you want this?
I'm just going to place it on
eat it
on the patio.
Out of the cup that it came in. But that's just something about that, I don't know, that kind of person. And also, like, the time we live in, like, everything's just ready for you at the ready. So you can just turn your apartment into, a garbage pile. Just with everything that's like single service and ready to go, and you don't have to really do anything for yourself or cook or like prepare anything for your animal. You just buy stuff, put it out, and leave it out and not put it away.
The type of things that you never see in movies, too.
But Mavis is that kind of person that if you don't know, her house looks a certain way. She's not a slob. She puts herself together, and you're just like, All right. Okay.
She becomes Night Mavis.
Yeah. Night Mavis with a little clip in hair and like all of that.
Just whenever shots of her on her bed face down, like she just planted herself on her bed
in the outfit
when she wandered in the outfit
day.
from the previous day.
I mean, this is kind of the most amazing thing about this performance. I mean, everything that Charlize Theron does in this is incredible, but it's such a physical performance.
Yes.
And I feel like you don't see that the first time you see these. It's like the fourth or fifth watch. It's just the way she like slumps into a hotel room and like unloads herself everywhere. Like it's such a specific carriage.
Yeah. And it's all that, like you were saying, it shows all that stuff that movies don't really, they always edit out of life. Like just like slumping your huge like luggage onto the thing and your
Beautiful people being ugly.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, the two of us, Scott and I, partake in our share of RuPaul's Drag Race, but scenes of her putting her makeup on and slathering that foundation, and I'm just like, oh my God, that is so much work. Like all of that. That's not even her skin color. And then by the end of it, it's like, that's her face. That's her evening face. And you're just like, holy shit.
A big character note with Mavis that I'd like, that even she's kind of a mess, but Mavis always has immaculate nails. That she always goes and gets her nails done. Those close-ups of like the cuticles, I love that.
The manicure close-ups are funny, but then the look on her face as they're doing everything, she's just like, oh God, just hurry up. Stop touching my feet. Stop touching my hands. Do what you need to do. She always gets the manicures and pedicures.
The shots of Mavis driving down. Okay, so every town has a stretch of road like this where it's hotels, restaurants.
Yeah.
And
the mall.
And Mavis is just scowling at all of these signs as she's driving down the road.
The giant staples. Yes. The Kentucky Hut.
Okay, so I don't think that Pizza Huts are ever in this.
It's usually a KFC Taco Bell. No, it's usually a KFC Pizza Hut or a Taco Bell.
Okay.
It's usually any combination of two of the three.
So they had to have the prop department. I've never seen all three. They had to have the prop department make up that sign.
Maybe somewhere in America there is a Kentucky Hut, but I've only seen any combination of two of those
I feel like
at a time.
Was a thing, and it didn't last very long. Yeah. But I definitely remember driving through a Taco Bell and getting like breadsticks with my like double-decker taco.
Yeah. I mean, KFC Taco Bell is definitely a thing, and we could probably find one somewhere. But yeah, and also her Hampton Inn is next to, I think there's like a Chuck E. Cheese and like something else in the little strip mall that's next to
Sell Your Gold or something.
Yeah, Cash for Gold, stuff like that. And when she does meet Buddy, and he's telling her about how like Mercury's like coming up, he's like, we're getting a Chipotle.
He's got a Chipotle in the mall.
Love it.
And kind of for me, of someone that's moved to the big city, of that my life might look impressive, but I just have a lonely podcast and I work at a grocery store, so it's really not that impressive, even though I live in the greater Los Angeles area.
You got out, man.
And whenever I go back, I do have to check myself that I am not better than all of these people, even though I might sometimes think I am not. And what I like about the screenplay with the character of Buddy and his wife, played by Elizabeth Reaser, what's her name?
The wife's character?
The wife's character is that they're both genuinely happy. And that is something that I've noticed when going back to my small town, is that the people that still live there are pretty content for the most part of what I've seen. Of that, they're happy living in this small town in Montana. And there's a lot of beauty in that. And I can't get in that toxic mindset that Mavis is in of I'm better than you because I got my ass out.
I mean, there's something to be said for the middle class fancy life.
Yeah.
You know, I love a middle class fancy life.
My parents, both of my parents graduated from Fergus High in Lewistown, and they both still live there.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, you know, like the whole, like my mother's aesthetic, you know, I kind of like the fact that there is that middle class fancy, just like we own this house It's got a lot of nice shit in it. I've got decor for every season of the year, you know. She likes going to the mall on Mondays and walking around and doing all that stuff, and perfectly content with that kind of the middle class fancy Nance and Rand.
Also,
kind of lifestyle.
Her name is Beth Slade. The character of Beth also seems pretty damn cool. She works with.
That's the other thing.
She works with special needs kids.
They had to. I think you have to make Beth kind of untouchable as a character.
She's the only character in the entire film who's not a monster in any capacity. She's just beaming and great, and you want to hang out with her, or you want to be married to her, or you're just like, she is best case scenario.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting when she showed the emotions chart, and you saw Charlize looking at it, and you're kind of thinking, can this character even know where she is on this chart?
Well, she said she doesn't feel anything.
She doesn't feel anything.
What's neutral? Mm-hmm. And that's the whole idea of Beth. She's like, well, that's what we're going to teach these kids. Maybe you're, I do love the nipple confusion. Is really fun. Mm-hmm. The band of moms.
Now, you mentioned that you love a band in a movie that sound like a crappy garage band.
Well, they just don't sound like professional musicians. Like sometimes in movies, like they'll like children, like Lindsay Lohan
and Freaky Friday that have this
is like playing this guitar like Slash.
How are they not
all right
signed to a label already? Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Well, I mean, at that point, she's Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean,
That's true. But, nipple confusion when they play, and also the first song they play is Teenage Fanclub. Mm-hmm. And it's like Mavis thinks this is like her song with Buddy.
It's their song.
And they play it. But, which is like this character moment for her. She's just like, fuck you. But I do appreciate the fact that they sound like a bunch of moms just like let's have this fun little band in the garage for a while. Fake drumming is difficult to pull off because drumming is difficult to pull off. It's a very
What's Mavis's reaction when she hears that Beth is the drummer? How embarrassing.
But drumming is very patting your head and rubbing your stomach at the same time, walking and chewing gum. It's very it's fucking hard. And even faking it is hard.
Well, not just that, but anybody who dates musicians knows you want to date the
drummer.
The drummer's always really hot.
I was like, Mavis doesn't know what she's fucking talking about.
The drummer of No Doubt.
Because she maybe thinks that, how embarrassing they're in the back or whatever. But the drummers are fucking crazy.
They always have slamming bodies and usually shirtless.
So yeah, she missed out. But maybe they weren't in bands. Maybe at the time when they were in high school, being in, the bands weren't Buddy was in the band.
Or maybe it's just sort of Mavis in that high school mindset of you're a band kid. How embarrassing.
Well, being in a band is different from being in band.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Sure.
Because you were in band. Mm-hmm. You were in a band.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have been a drummer. But what I was saying was Elizabeth Reaser is maybe she did, practice playing drums and is semi-proficient because even you can mime playing guitar, you can mime, playing bass or even the trumpet as I have mimed on national television once. We'll get into that later. But miming playing the drums is difficult to pull off as indicated by one Tara Reid and Josie and the Pussycats. that fake drumming is notoriously not great.
The greatest music film ever made.
I mean, that is a documentary.
We have not gotten to Josie and the Pussycats yet on the show.
Yeah, that movie is really good. But cheers! Tip of my hat to Elizabeth Reaser.
We should
for
probably talk about the character of Pat
Oswalt,
played by Pat Oswalt. That when
what did she call him?
When Mavis goes to her hometown bar, I can't remember the name of the bar. It had a really
Woody's.
I was like, it had a really good name. Yeah. Can't remember, but she runs into Matt from high school.
Yeah. not the special ed kid. What does she call him?
Hate crime.
The hate
You're that
crime.
hate crime guy.
You should have just said that. Because at first she's just like, oh, yeah, Matt, of course, Matt Freehoff, whatever. But then when she figures it out,
you know
she's
what?
like, oh, fuck.
But you know what? I'm getting to that age that it's been almost 20 years since high school, and my sister sometimes mentions people that I knew in high school of, oh, I just met so-and-so, and I have nothing.
You're just like, who?
I'm just like, I do not remember who this person is.
Yeah.
That it's a weird feeling of when you've gotten that far away from high school that you kind of start to forget about people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Matt Freehoff character, the hate crime kid, he's wearing his like Death to the Pixies t-shirts and like all of this stuff. I don't know if is that heavy-handed or is that real? Like, are guys like that still wearing their like? He's wearing these band t-shirts from the 90s. He's obviously like lording over that jukebox at Woody.
I think they're, showing every character being arrested in their own way.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's painting action figures. He's listening to the music.
He has a lot in common with Mavis.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
As every character does. And as his sister does, who turns out to be
Love
the
character
final
of the
boss
sister.
villain.
Yep. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about her later, but I love that character.
Oh, boss,
Yeah,
absolutely.
she's amazing.
Yeah.
And there's many. So his character advances emotionally and intellectually in a way that no one else in this film really does.
He gets to call Mavis out to her face too.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like this character. I appreciate that he is making whiskey as opposed to craft beer.
This was pre-craft beer.
This was pre-craft. You're right. Because the door opened, and I hadn't seen the movie in a while, and the garage door opens, and I was like, "That's not beer. What the hell is he making?" And she's like, "What are you making, moonshine?"
Her just taking a giant swig of that bottle.
The Star Wars juice.
The Star Wars juice. Well, let me just say this. You're making your like craft whiskey in your house. You can't name it Mos Eisley. They're gonna like the lawyers are gonna like.
Well, it's not like Matt's gonna be selling
down.
this. I think it's just something that he's just gonna have.
I think the blue-haired lawyer from The Simpsons is going to be knocking on his door.
We represent the estate of George Lucas.
Yes. And my goons are here. Yeah, you cannot continue calling this.
And there's just something so sad about the character of Matt when he is telling the story of how when he was beat up, a supposed hate crime, and then you find out that Matt wasn't even gay. And it's just so sad of that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just you just got the shit beat out of you.
And then not only that, he kind of became like a national like poster child for like hate crimes or whatever. And then he said it all stopped when they found out he was.
And no one cared.
No one cared anymore.
Well, on top of not being gay, he's also not like the right kind of handicap.
Right.
So
Sure.
he's, the other, when her cousin shows up and he's like we used to call him like the happiest cripple in town. Or it's very, those are not my words.
No,
those are the words of the direct quote from the film.
Movie.
He rolls up and he's just like, he's talking about rock climbing and he's really positive. And the juxtaposition, like you see,
and this is when
the
you
audience's eyes.
when you really see both of these characters kind of unite in that they just fucking hate this guy in a wheelchair. Just these two assholes scowling at this happy man.
Mavis straight up says he got so much attention.
Like it happened on her 16th birthday.
Yeah, it happened on her 16th birthday, and she was just like, he got so much attention.
How dare you be happy with your disability?
Yeah. And I kind of love, though, when, they form this friendship, and she'll just call him and say, like, do you want to go get loaded or whatever? And she is constantly making him do things on his crutch and, like, mangled leg.
Let's go have
I got to tell you the story.
Let's go.
I got to tell you outside.
Let's go have a conversation outside
in the woods on uneven terrain.
Yeah, or let's just go to the alley. Like, what the? She's constantly making him follow her all over. So she has zero kind of like, awareness of anybody else, what's going on with anybody else. It's just, I mean, in both of those situations, she's pretty blasted. The first time she says, "I'll tell you why I'm here," the opening clip, "I'll tell you why I'm here, but I can't tell you inside." So now he's got to get up and follow her out to the fucking alley. And that time she's really drunk. But then when they go to the woods, she's not even drunk. Well, maybe she's kind of drunk. We gotta go to the woods behind the school. And he's like, fuck's sake. All right.
She makes him walk across the football field.
Mm-hmm. And then now into uneven territory in the woods. I love when she says, what did she say? This used to be Hump City. This used to be Hump City back in the day. Mm-hmm. That's something that growing up in the greater Los Angeles area, just the woods behind the school. I cannot even imagine the shenanigans that would happen.
We sort of had woods behind our school.
You're so lucky.
Your entire town was surrounded by woods.
We also had a creek, or in Montana, as we would say, crick.
A
crick
the crick
behind the school.
Through the entire town. Did anybody ever go under the street and come out the other side?
Oh, yeah. I think kids do it all the time when floating. I would never do it because you would probably get stabbed by a tree branch or something.
Okay.
We went to the bar, our Woody's in Lewistown, Montana, the tavern. The creek runs underneath the bar, and there's a window where you can see it.
It looks like a well in the middle of the bar with what do you call it? Plastic, And
you can sometimes see fish that hang out there. And I remember about 15 years ago, kids were tubing underneath. They broke the glass and they robbed the bar. It was a whole big thing.
They climbed up through the well.
Yeah.
This is so awesome. So first of all, it all sounds very fancy.
Yeah.
I mean, we just grew up in like a concrete sadness. So everything you're saying sounds magical. And like you had a creek to dump bodies in.
Yeah,
exactly.
You could float places. Kids robbed a bar through a well. This is amazing. You just a charmed existence you had.
I think now, isn't it?
There's bars on it.
I was going to say it's not just it's not glass. It's that kind of I can't think of the
plexiglass?
word.
It's like plexiglass.
It's plexi.
So
and then
now
my dad
said,
over the plexi, there's like an iron, medieval.
My dad told me that when he was young, that there was no plexiglass there.
You could just jump into the creek.
You could just fully just jump in.
Oh my God.
Close my tab. I'm going home.
Oh my God, just straight through the well. This is amazing.
Yeah, that's wild.
Kind of thinking of when I'll go back to the Lewistown Tavern now.
Yeah.
And it's something that this script does is that you'll be surprised the people that you hit it off with that you went to high school with.
Yeah.
That you'll be kind of like, oh, we didn't hang out in high school, but you're pretty fucking cool.
You're cool now. You're fine. Whatever. Yeah.
Or people that you probably didn't get along with that you'll happily have a beer with now. So just sort of interesting things when you get older.
Let me tell you this about Montana and Lewistown in particular. Everybody's really nice.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Definitely.
To my face. At least. I don't know what they're saying when we leave. But maybe they're just drunk off of crick fumes coming out of
the well from the bar.
Yeah. The well's not in the middle of the bar. It's kind of like when you walk in, it's like off to the side, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't have like a hometown, but I mean, there is a hometown bar, but I didn't want to go there.
I mean, I think that your Woody's is just the Roost in Los Feliz. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, I like that the other people in town, though, are still kind of confused about Matt, though I'm pretty sure he's gay. Mm-hmm. And she's like, no, he's not. I like when we first meet Buddy at this, bar and grill daytime situation.
Also, Mavis texting just so she doesn't have to have human interaction with people. Just so she doesn't have to look at people. She is fake texting on her little BlackBerry.
Yeah.
Which is something that I think that we've all done.
I had that BlackBerry.
I'm going to stare at Instagram just so I don't have to look at people.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But, Buddy is played by Patrick Wilson, and he is father of a newborn. He's 37, ostensibly, and he walks in. And, I mean, it's Patrick Wilson, so it's kind of hard to, rough him up a little bit. Mm-hmm. But he still does come in looking kind of schlumpy. He's unshaven. He's just, in a flannel.
as dressed down as you can possibly make Patrick Wilson.
Yeah.
Let me just say this. When I was in college, kind of obsessed with Patrick Wilson, of just these movies that he was in around this time, like Little Children, the way that those films objectify him, of, just how Todd Field films him in that movie and those shoulders.
He's a handsome man.
Yeah, he's a very handsome man.
He's a good-looking guy. And I think in this movie, they're really trying their damnedest to make it look like he's tired. You know, he's an everyman
Well, I think
kind of a...
He's really handsome,
Yeah.
but she is just one of, in any context, anywhere in the world, she's just one of the most beautiful
Yes.
women of history. Like,
Yes.
she's
Yeah.
just...
Have
she's
you
so
ever
unique
seen her
looking.
out in the wild in L.A.?
No, I haven't. Have you?
So
Yeah, we saw
I
her
remember
once.
around the time this movie came out, I think it was around 2012, we did the live reading of The Breakfast Club directed by Jason Reitman.
Yeah. At
'Cause
LACMA.
At this time at LACMA, he was doing live readings of movie scripts.
Do you remember her cast?
So it was
Jennifer
Claire
Garner.
was Jennifer Garner. She was very pregnant. Aaron Paul was
Judd Nelson.
Judd Nelson.
Patrick Wilson?
No.
Patton Oswalt.
Patton Oswalt was
Anthony Michael Hall.
Mindy Kaling was Ali Sheedy.
Sheedy, yeah.
J.K. Simmons just read
He read the principal and he read the
janitor.
The janitor.
And
This is amazing.
which is weird because they have a scene together.
Jason Vanderbeek too was
James Van
James Vanderbeek was Emilio. And I remember we were sitting in.
But it was
This is amazing.
Yeah, but it was a reading, so they're just sitting on director's chairs on a stage. and
I
we're
don't
just
even
watching.
think that this space is even there anymore. But they had a little theater that was pretty much like a high school
What was the
auditorium.
Bing? Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Bing. Yeah.
It was like sitting in a high school auditorium in wooden chairs. And I remember we were sitting there, and I see this woman, and I'm just like, Pete, that's Busy Phillips.
But she was sitting. We were sitting in our seats, and it was
Yeah.
the back of her head.
I was
And
like,
it was just long.
I think
blonde
that's
hair.
Busy Phillips over there. And Pete's like, no, that's Charlize Theron. And I was like, oh.
They're both very beautiful.
If I were to just run into Busy Phillips on the street, I would say, bitch, I mistook Charlize Theron for you. How do you like that?
Let me say this. Taller than the both of us, but not that much taller than them. I expected her to be like
20 feet tall.
Yes.
Like, she's like Home Depot skeleton.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Say just over 6 foot.
No, I don't even think that.
Not even that?
I don't even think that. I think she was like 5'11".
I remember she had very skinny legs. And
not skinny, not like Sutton's track.
Yeah.
Real
Oh, no,
Housewives.
not at all.
No, just like she looked great.
But
She was wearing
supermodel
jeans.
legs.
Yeah.
Mhm. But I remember we were walking out, and I made a point of when we were walking out, we're going to walk right next to her.
We were following her ass.
We were walking right next to her out,
trying to smell her hair.
and you could sort of tell when you looked around at people walking next to her of
We're just
holy
like,
shit.
look straight.
Holy shit.
Everybody
We're walking
just
right next to
looks-
Charlize
looks
Theron. And she has that really cool quality about her of, no, I'm not going to say anything to her. Because that is
What are you going to say?
That is
We're-
Charlize Theron.
We're
That's not a human.
And
Yeah.
she is not somebody to be fucked with.
Yeah. What are we going to say at this LACMA thing? Like, it's not. We're not there for her. She's just in the audience for.
She's just
her
enjoying
friends,
it like
you
all of
know?
us.
Yeah.
She's
So-
a proud parent at a school play.
Absolutely.
But as somebody that I don't really get starstruck when I see famous people, like I think it's cool. But I remember seeing her.
She was
just
one where we were
being
like, "Oh, shit."
holy shit!"
Yeah. It's looking how she looks and being Mavis Gary and being this girl in high school. I guess it makes sense to cast Patrick Wilson as Buddy. Kind of. I don't know how it would have been if it was just like somebody not as crazy attractive,
Not as beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. But they like I was saying in this scene, they're really trying to like make him look dressed down because as the tired newborn parent that he is, and I like the way he plays. I like the way he plays all the scenes with her because she's just like saying all this weird, inappropriate shit, and he's just like, "Yeah."
I love my kid.
I also like Mavis when she has to fake being nice.
Sure.
Of when she's talking to him, that her voice is raised just a little bit. It's not how she speaks to Patton Oswalt. This is Mavis almost trying to put on this front with Buddy.
Yeah.
It's also the first scene where unambiguously the cracks are starting to show.
Yes.
He is saying things, she's projecting this fantasy of him, and he is saying these things back to her that don't match up with what she wants. Like I think the line is, oh, you sound like one of your crazy characters. And the look on her face, you see her eyebrow go up, and she's like, I don't accept that. And then right back into the fake front. It's an incredible performance.
Yeah. And it's interesting later on in the movie when, she does have her big meltdown and she's like, why did you invite me? And he straight up says, like, I didn't invite you. Like, Beth kind of suggested it and thought we should do it. And so it's interesting that how he's kind of playing it. He's just trying to play it as cool as he can. Which
is pretty evil in itself.
Kind of.
There's a lot of, and I think this is a real nice guy thing, and I think Diablo Cody really gets this right, where there's a lot of plausible deniability, but he keeps putting himself into situations that he clearly wants to be in with her, while giving himself the out of oh, I didn't know it was happening. I'm just a nice guy.
Like
you kissed me. Oh no!
If this was the situation, he shouldn't have met her at the bar and grill to have hard jack.
Shouldn't have
had
her drive him home.
Shouldn't have had her drive. Yeah, shouldn't have gotten drunk at the thing and then accepted a ride from her. But you're right. It is very that's super nice guy 101. Just what?
I didn't do it.
Yeah, hard jacks. I'm assuming is that's fake, right?
I think
that's
fake that they made up for the movie, but I think it's like a cider. I think it's like a spiked cider.
A spiked cider, a hard lemonade kind of a thing, which...
Like a Bartles and James.
Yeah. Which for her to order, it's cute, but it's at the same time, okay.
But it's also a drink that Mavis would never order.
No, yeah.
But she's ordering it because Buddy likes it.
She was drinking the hell out of him at Woody's, too, by herself before she met Patton Oswalt. But...
I can really relate sometimes that we're night owls when she says, how about 8 o'clock? 6 is fine.
She's like, oh, okay. Yeah. And she goes fully dressed.
When you're friends with parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She shows up fully dressed for the club at the saddest Hooters knockoff any of us have ever seen.
Oh, but we got to
full bright fluorescent lights.
We got to give a shout out to one of my favorite scenes of the movie. I almost did the opening clip to it, but when she goes into Macy's and she's talking to the sales clerk.
Can I help you find something?
Sure, I'm not having a ton of luck here.
Is this something for work?
No, it's a special occasion. It's not a formal occasion. I'm looking for something chic, clean, but also a bit edgy.
Okay. We have some adorable new dresses that just came in.
Yeah, do you have Marc Jacobs?
No, I don't think we have that one.
I'm going to a rock concert with an old flame, and I think there is a chance we may reconnect.
Let's show him what he's been missing.
No, he's seen me recently. He knows. But his wife hasn't seen me in a while, so...
Well... It's the end of my shift, and my son has to be picked up from school. So I'm just going to send over another associate. She's up on all the trends. Shauna?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just kind of thumbing through everything.
Oh, he knows.
Oh, yeah. Got to show him what he's missing. Oh, he's seen me.
Oh, he's seen me. He knows.
But his wife hasn't.
and just the look on the Macy employee's face of, I'm just going to... My shift is done. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, it's she's back in Mercury, so she's just I guess I gotta go to I just gotta go to the mall to get.
I mean, Mercury must be a pretty decent town. They have a Macy's.
They have a mall.
It's a big Macy's.
They have a pretty decent sized Macy's.
Yeah, where did they shoot this?
I think it's shot in New York.
Oh, okay, interesting.
But looks exactly like Minnesota, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think it's really it's very smart the way her parents are introduced.
Just driving down the street and
stalking her.
Just seeing Mavis walk down the street. And what's also funny is that Mavis keeps telling people that she's in town on business.
Yeah. Real estate. And as just sort of a cover of why she's actually there. Yeah. But each time I watch this movie, and it's usually big breaks in between. So when I watch it and there's her mom and it's just oh yeah, this is her hometown. Mm-hmm. Why isn't she staying with her parents? She hasn't even called her mom to say I'm going to be in town. Like this whole thing, she's just like, I can't. I don't want to. I'm not here for that. That's a whole separate conversation. That's a whole separate visit. So I won't even. But then it's like, this is a small town. Everybody knows that you're here for real estate, and your aunt's going to be really. She's a little hurt.
Your aunt's a little hurt. Mm-hmm.
You're not using her for the listing. Like, I love that kind of shit because that's the kind of stuff your parents lay on you.
Okay, so
like, I'm going to be in trouble for like.
So
doing
we were
whatever.
talking off mic about the backstory of Mavis being married, and her wedding photos are still up, and her mom just likes to keep them up just because it's a happy wedding.
It's a happy memory.
It's a happy memory.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to say, like, you know, we have one of our wedding photos, or our wedding photo in my mother's living room.
It's big too.
Well, she has she has full on like poster size canvas prints of our wedding photo with the family, and then my younger sister Jamie's wedding photo, another canvas giant print, and then one that we just did of the family like out in the park. And then down the hallway is all the wedding photos. And cruise photos.
And it's always really awkward when there is a spouse of somebody that is no longer married to them.
One of my brothers got divorced last year, and she's in all the pictures. She's in the big canvas prints. And my mother is on a quest to get her Photoshop.
My mom said that she can probably do it. I need to email my mom the photo.
I love that your moms are like colluding on this.
Yeah. And my mom's pretty good at doing shit like that too.
Yeah.
With photography.
This is a real family. This is what everyone dreams of marrying into. Like,
right.
when the in-laws can work together to get rid of the ex-spouse.
I remember when I was texting my mom about it so we have a family photo and you're pretty good at Photoshop, right? And my mom immediately replies, who do you want to get rid of?
Yeah. And in the picture, that's just a family picture. It's not a wedding photo. She lists right out. You can easily close the gap. But in the wedding photo, my brother has his hand, like, he's behind her, and they're kind of, like, in a row. And he has his hand on her, like, on her waist. And so if you lift her out, his hand is just kind of floating there.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, does it work to just bring your brother to Photoshop him into the foreground and then like paint out him like behind himself?
He's in Scotland.
Oh no. Oh no.
So there's going to be a lot of like back and forth. So we either have to remove his hand, because the thing is, if we close the gap and bring him in, now his hand is on my stepdad's.
I mean, that's okay. Yeah. It's a stepdad. That's okay.
Yeah, it's his dad. So it's a whole thing. But, you know, we have the family photos up. And so she no longer has their wedding picture up because that's, you know.
Because she's a good person.
Yeah, because it's a reminder of not just a happy day, but a failed marriage.
Or just something that's painful to your brother.
Yes,
which
exactly.
Mavis's parents clearly do not care about Mavis's feelings. They care about seeing the happy memory.
Yeah.
It might be different if your brother still lived here, too, and he was over a lot.
That would like to take down the actual big pictures?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's like, the thing is, it's like, it's our wedding photo.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's...
Yeah, it's gigantic.
It's like the size of a poster, but it's horizontal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's on a big canvas. And it's in the living room. Yeah, you're right. I think maybe, yeah. But she doesn't want to, but they're good pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is something that's real that's happening in my life.
Here's something that I think this actually happens in real life with people's parents, is keeping the kid's bedroom the same.
As a shrine.
Because Mavis can go into her childhood bedroom. They've kept her car. I think that's weird.
I think that's weird, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like her nail polish, like all that stuff, like things she just didn't take. I feel like, yeah, I think...
It's like, we're going to keep Mavis's room because that's her room.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my mom was like, oh, you're off to college. I'm flipping your bedroom to a workout area. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now it's like a separate TV room too. Your bedroom.
Yeah. Which is fine. Like, that's their house. They can do whatever they want with it.
Yeah. I'm getting a lot of texts nowadays from my stepdad with a lot of like toys. Random. He texted me a photograph of a Ninja Turtles suitcase, asking if it was mine. I was like, no, that's one of the brothers. And he's like, well, do you want it? And I was like, no. Well, do you think we can get anything for it? No. Just throw it away or send it out of the closet. I mean, somebody will want that Ninja Turtle suitcase. It's a cute suitcase. And it's the kind that's like the old-fashioned with the handle, and it's not like a rolly one.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So it's probably fully from like 1989. But I'm just like, no, thanks. I don't want the Ninja Turtle suitcase. I'm getting a lot of photographs lately of things of what do I want. This is yours. You left it here. I don't. It's okay.
If it's still there, it's
you can
abandoned.
get rid of it.
You left this here. I left. First of all, I never lived in that house. You moved into that house 10 years ago.
So should we actually talk about when Mavis gets to the I want to say baby shower, but it's
the naming ceremony.
The naming ceremony.
Yes.
So wait, have we discussed what leads up to the naming? That Mavis has kissed.
Right. At the nipple confusion show.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, another character. The babysitter. My favorite character in the movie.
Who just fucking hates her immediately.
Where's Beth? Yeah, I saw lights. Where's Beth? Yeah, he gets so drunk at the nipple confusion show, but the girls want to stay out. So Mavis is like, I'll take him home. Like, I got it. Meanwhile, she's been pounding back some drinks.
Tequila shots.
Yeah, so I'm kind of surprised that Beth is just
And
like,
I'm
sure.
assuming that she's probably taking a shot at the bar and then walking back.
Yeah, with 2 more shots. Yeah.
As you do.
Yeah. But yeah, they have this conversation in the driveway, and she like goes in for it's a mess. But like you said, the like plausible deniability, you're just like, I'm drunk at the show.
Oh yeah, and he doesn't stop her until the babysitter comes out, and then sort of rolls into the I don't know you.
Yeah.
I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Sort of line. So she leaves and goes to drink again with Patton Oswalt. And this is not the point where she realizes that she has made a mistake.
Yeah.
And I don't recall which hangout session this is with Patton Oswalt. Oh, this is they go to the woods.
This is the woods, yeah.
And he tells her she doesn't know how to be an adult, and she's saying really horrible things to him about what had happened to him in high school.
Yeah.
And they separate, and then she gets the invitation to come to the naming ceremony.
Yeah, and it's like it. You know, the things she's saying to him about like you're dwelling on the past and you like let it go and all that stuff. And she's like, "Are you fucking serious, dude? Like you're telling me all this stuff." Is this the dress that she buys at Macy's? No, that's what she wore to the fake Hooters.
I think that she buys this dress at the Macy's.
Okay.
I think maybe she got both. I don't know.
Sure, but yeah, this outfit for the naming ceremony is very like
Real estate agent chic.
Yeah,
Sure, and it's all in one piece too. Because when she
that we
takes it
didn't know,
off,
yeah.
it's
Oh, right,
all
she zips it up.
It's all in one.
We thought it was a blouse and a skirt. It's like a dress. But yeah, it's like the French twist. Like
she's kind of putting on her battle armor when she's putting on her makeup and she does her hair.
Sure.
That she's going into battle to get her knight.
Is this bow on the front of her blouse or dress? Is it a pussy bow?
Is it a pussy bow?
It's pussy bow adjacent for sure, but it's almost like an Austin Powers like.
Sure,
cravat.
yeah.
It does.
Cravat,
It does give me real estate agent bench sign.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so she goes into the party and she sees Buddy's mother, and goes into assumes that the mother's going to be very excited to see her and gives her a huge hug, and the mother is alarmed.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing
Uneasy.
here?
Yeah, Jan.
And Jan is not having it because Jan is a human being with eyes and ears, and she's not buying any of this act.
Yeah.
And Charlize Theron's character Mavis. I'm sorry, Mavis.
Mavis.
Mavis asks Buddy to talk in a room alone, which red flag.
Oh,
She's
my
already
God.
kissed
Red flag,
him. Like,
yeah.
Buddy, what are you doing? So they go into the bedroom and she just starts unloading her feelings for him and assuming he feels the same. And there's a really interesting continuity issue here where when she walks into the room, her lipstick is very, very, very dark red. And she tries to kiss him again, and he pushes her face away.
Yeah.
And her lipstick color becomes a much, much more muted red color.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if it's intentional or if it's just an
it's
accident.
probably like a character choice.
It's so great. It's
Interesting.
such a
I've never noticed
beautiful-
that.
He pushes her face. He like put his hand on her head and is like, no. Yeah. But yeah, I love the interaction with his mother. It was just very much like, what the fuck is going on? Jan is played by Mary Kay Place. She's in The World According to Garp.
Mary Kay Place?
Not Mary Kay Place.
I was going to say, this is a very Mary Kay Place type of role.
It's
but
Mary
I don't
Beth
think
Hurt. It's Mary Beth Hurt.
Mary Beth Hurt.
It's Mary
sure.
Beth Hurt. Yeah, she's in The World According to Garp. She's a big like 80s like actress of a certain age. Yeah, that scene is wild, but I'm just like, why is he even going in the room with her?
Right?
I'm just like, just say like, yeah, I got shit to do. Like, what do you got? You know, like walk and talk.
Yeah, no more alone time.
No. We got to, especially at this party, you know, and there's that great shot of the babysitter talking to the band members from Nipple Confusion, just like watching her like
just
walk
glaring
up the
at her.
stairs. Yeah. I do love too the other girls in the band are just like, can you fucking
Fuck
believe
this
she's
bitch.
here?
Yeah.
What the hell is she doing?
But they also mind their business. Like, they don't get involved, which is impressive and unrealistic.
Yeah, they're just kind of standing back as, you know, Mavis takes Buddy away in the car and all that. But yeah, that shot of the babysitter and the girls in the band just looking at her walking up the stairs. And
this is all leading up to the her big monologue.
I mean, I get that this is an adult party, but there's a lot of booze at this party.
There is a lot of booze at this party.
Well, I mean, maybe it's just like it's this sangria that's being passed around. It's in like pitchers or sangria everywhere.
Pete loves the shot of Charlize picking up the fruit and throwing it on the ground.
I didn't even realize. I thought she was just throwing ice out of her whiskey.
Oh no, it's she got sangria and she's. Well, that's another little continuity error, too, because at first she just has the cup and she picks up a big orange slice and just throws it on the table. But then she's walking out on the lawn because everybody's now on the lawn and she's still throwing more. I was like, how much fruit is in that sangria? But there was a big punch bowl of sangria. So I'm assuming that Beth was just like, we'll have the big sangria out, but then we'll just have other drinks. And maybe people just brought stuff because this is like Halloween party status, like bar. You know, table, and
this big moment.
We have the big meltdown at the party. Are Mavis's parents there the whole time, or do they just show up? Because it takes her a minute to stop.
You just see her. Yeah, you just see them outside on the grass.
Yeah, maybe they just found out that she was there.
I think that they're invited.
You think they're invited?
Yeah, I think they're invited. Mm-hmm.
Well, it takes the mom way too long to stop to intervene.
Well, I think we've established that Mavis's parents do not care about Mavis in the way that would have perhaps encouraged Mavis to be a better person.
Yeah, true. Because like we see, you know, her father kind of acknowledging her like little tick. Like
of pulling her hair
out. But the way he addresses it is just like, you're still doing that. Like, and then the mom's just, oh, your hair's so beautiful. It's like, well, that's not the point.
And when she just says, I think I'm an alcoholic, you get nothing from both of them. That it's like she didn't even say it out loud. They're not even registering it.
Or they just kind of like laugh it off. Kind of like, oh, haha. Kind of a thing.
But yeah, this moment's great. I mean, if Charlize would have been Best Actress nominated, I mean,
that would be the clip.
This would be the clip.
I'll get to fuck you. Fuck you. You fucking bitch. Oh my god. You should see your face. It's a joke. Are you just gonna stand there like a big lump? I love your sweater.
I'll get you a rag.
Go get me a rag, because you got so many of those lying around here. Fucking burp cloths, whatever. You know the funny thing is, I could have had this party a long time ago. This exact same party. Yeah. Buddy and I were together for 4 years, and we were inseparable. Jan knows, right, Jan? Tell him. No, don't bother. It is silk. It's fucked.
Mavis, sweetheart.
Mother, I'm trying to tell a story here. Yeah, Buddy got me pregnant at 20, and we were going to keep it. We were going to have a little baby and a little naming party and a fun aquarium and all of that. And then 12 weeks into it, well, I had Buddy's miscarriage, which I wouldn't wish for anyone. You know, maybe if things were just a little bit more hospitable down south in my broken body, Buddy and I would be here right now with a teenager and probably even more kids, because we always found each other. Always. Right, Jan? Tell him.
Well, but it also just shows, like, Beth, too. Like, she tells her, like, to fuck off, and then she call her a bitch, like, in front of everybody, at her party, at her house.
Like, this woman is a saint.
And she's just like, let's get you cleaned up. Like, let's, it's silk. Don't bother.
So when Mavis is talking about having the miscarriage, I think that's why Beth reached out to Mavis, is that she's had this past with Buddy, and it was almost a thing, and then this miscarriage happened. So I think that's kind of why Beth reached out.
And maybe she thinks that it's such a small town that it might have gotten back to her anyway somehow. Like, we're going to invite her parents. So maybe they'll, a normal person would have a conversation with their parents and say, like, oh, it's going to be this party.
Well, he also says that she invited her because... So she's a late invite. She gets like the email that they never acknowledge. And then he calls and invites her to specifically come.
That's right, yeah.
And then says it's because they're all worried about her because she's having some sort of mental illness.
Yes. That's right, he does. Some mental illness.
Which is true, but much like the alcoholism and the hair-pulling tic, these are all just accessories.
Right.
Like, these aren't necessarily the character, which is also a real fascinating choice.
Yeah.
Yes. We haven't even mentioned that on one of her nights out with Matt, on her way back to the hotel, she rams her Mini into a light pole and leaves it there for like however many days.
Do you think that
she's in
the hotel would have gotten a tow?
I feel like the hotel might have been like, whose car is this? What the hell?
But also, like, we've been seeing this character drink a lot and drive.
Yeah.
So you do see consequences because of it.
Yeah. But this leads to her... Now, at this point, she is talking to her parents again, and this leads to her getting her old cabriolet.
Yeah. So it's almost as if Mavis is even going back in the past more.
She's wearing Buddy's...
And reverting, she's wearing a sweater.
She's driving her old car from
She's
high
driving
school.
her old car from high school. So. She's driving over to her boyfriend's house.
Yeah. So this is all like down... We're in the bell jar at this point.
Yeah.
as Ginny Garofalo would say, you are in the bell jar. So and that cabriolet, I think, what year did this come out?
2011.
So, and she's 37.
It's probably from like 1990 or so.
91. Okay, I'll allow it.
I take it that her and Buddy probably graduated high school around 92.
It's
probably
a little bit more of a. It's a little bit more of an 80s car, but I'll allow it.
Well, I mean, it would have just been a car that they got used.
Yeah.
Mavis wouldn't have gotten a new car.
Yeah. Because that's the Can't Buy Me Love car.
Oh, okay.
That the girl drives a cabriolet, and I mean those cars are cute. Everybody knows those Volkswagens are girls' cars.
all the Volkswagen, the girl. All of the teenagers that drove Volkswagens when I was in high school were all girls.
See? I'm telling
you.
The Jetta, the Cabriolet. Don't get me started on the Carmen Ghia from Pretty in Pink. But Volkswagens are, A, mega expensive. And B,
even a used one.
And B, really hard to keep up because you have to go to like a German car like guy. But they're cute. Mm-hmm. Would you drive a Beetle?
Of course.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But like you drive them like a like a Selena Kyle yellow.
Yeah, I want to
like 1989.
I want to drive the Herbie car.
A Herbie Beetle. Yeah, not a like the plastic looking ones.
Yeah.
Okay. I drive a plastic looking. They have a vase.
Yeah.
On the dashboard. And fresh flowers in your car.
What do we feel about the moment when Matt and Mavis finally hook up? When she goes over to Matt's house and she has sangria all over her white blouse, and she takes it off. And that image of Charlize with the cups.
The chicken cutlets.
The chicken cutlet cups. Those shots of her taking those out. Ugh, it must be painful to be a woman.
Like
and have to deal with shit like that.
This is truly, for women watching it, this is truly the hero moment of the film.
Yeah.
Both seeing her willing to just stand there, because they're not, I mean, that is not an attractive garment. And when she peels it off, I mean, they hurt so bad to take off.
So
like, they're just not fun.
Is there an adhesive, or is just because they're that kind of like mouse pad, like wrist guard material that just naturally sticks to you?
I'm very excited because I also had this conversation earlier this morning when my boyfriend wanted to discuss how this works.
Yeah.
So they're silicone material. Yeah. So it's got like a realistic sort of feel.
Right.
And they're almost like, it almost feels like cling wrap on
like they're tacky kind of, but yeah.
But the inside is industrial grade adhesive.
Okay, so that sticks to your body.
It sticks to you, but if you sweat at all, so summertime is usually when you have to wear these because you're wearing like a backless dress or whatever.
And they're almost like a substitute for a bra, right?
It is a substitute for a bra.
When you want to wear a certain dress that you can't wear a bra with.
Yeah, so it's a no-show situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's god awful. They always feel like they're falling off.
Yeah.
But they're not, because they are never coming off of you. Like, it's just, they're horrible. So, and they look terrible. And she's wearing like the pantyhose.
Yeah.
And it's such a cool
that go up
image.
To her waist, like over. Yeah. Because that's how they like stay up, right? Because they're, oh my goodness.
There's some really good directing in the scenes with them on the bed that it calls back to the scene where she goes on the date with the guy. And she wakes up in bed, and she has the arm over her.
Yeah.
When she gets out of bed.
Yeah.
Like, those scenes kind of match up.
Mm-hmm. Can we go back a little bit further, too? Mm-hmm. And the intimacy choreography of them hooking up is so good and so spot on and so genuine. And their chemistry is crazy.
Yeah.
That you buy the whole thing. It's not like you want them to hook up necessarily, but it's so like you can tell that in their own ways, these two people like really love and care for each other.
Yeah.
And then there's this like the really beautiful reveal scene of his leg.
Yeah.
Is very, very like it reminded me a lot of Todd Browning's film Freaks. Where you're seeing people with like a variety of disabilities, whether they're born with them or they've been sort of enhanced to work in the carnival. Mm-hmm. These people that traditionally, at the time society would have been a little bit afraid of, are filmed beautifully and with love and like very objectively and directly. Mm-hmm. And it was like a direct parallel to that. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. When she's there, she's standing there in this shot of her. And he's like, I'll get you a shirt. And she's just like, I want yours. Mm-hmm. And it's, you look at Patton and it's like, he's not like Jabba the Hutt. He's not like super obese. He's just like, a
little out of shape.
Yeah. He's a little out of shape. Mm-hmm. That's it. It's not crazy. It's not like, oh my God, like, dude, get a hold of yourself.
Just looks like a regular person.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, so he takes off his shirt and he hands it to her and he just does that thing that like, the little chubby guys kind of do. You just like cross your arms and just like hunch over, like don't look at me kind of thing. And she doesn't even put the shirt on. She just like holds it there. And yeah, it's just like it's really well done. It's awkward. It's like it's not sexy at all, but it's just it leads to where these two characters, have been going like this whole movie. Yeah, it's wild. And then the next scene in the morning, with the sister.
We got to talk about the character that Colette Wolfe plays. So you mentioned this is like the final boss. This is kind of the pivotal moment with this character that Mavis has kind of realized the errors of her ways, and she's at the crossroads of, I need to do something with my life. Like, I am a fucking mess. And she gets up, she sees Matt's sister, Sandra, in the kitchen. She's getting ready for her nurse shift. And she pours her a cup of coffee, and she sits down with her. And the character of Sandra pretty much, she tells Mavis everything that she wants to hear.
Yeah, because initially when Mavis goes to the house to meet Matt, she knocks on the front door, and the sister answers, and she's just like, oh, fuck. Like, what are you doing at my house?
I made you cookies once, and I left them in your locker.
Yeah, all that shit. And she's just, does she kind of say, like, does she introduce herself like I'm Mavis or whatever? And she's like, and she says like, I know who you are. Yeah, I know who you are. So it's that thing where in high school she kind of looked up to Mavis. She was a popular girl. She's so beautiful, all that, and she's just another person who is kind of stunted in that kind of like, you know, that era, and it's just like right back there. She's just like, oh no, you are better than all of us.
When Colette Wolf is saying to her of that, sometimes I think about you going back to your cool apartment and going out.
Yeah.
It's so heartbreaking. And it's exactly the type of person that Mavis wants them to be jealous too.
Yeah.
Of that, I made it, I got out of this little town and you're still stuck here.
And also too, it's that thing that we were saying, like of Mavis being this kind of static character. Maybe she does have somewhat of an arc somewhere in there, but it just like
it gets stonewalled,
completely disappears.
Yep.
The moment where she says, "You know what? You're right. I'm going home. I'm going back to Minneapolis." And the sister says,
"My life is great."
And the sister says, "Take me with you." And she's like,
"No, you're good here."
Just completely like, and it's that Mavis thing where she doesn't see anybody else, what they're going through, any obstacles that they have. It's just like
she needed Sandra to validate her.
Yeah. And then she fucking leaves.
And this is such a cool punk rock ending that is so anti-Hollywood that it's the reason why a lot of people walk away from this movie so cold, is that it's a very realistic ending. And it's not something that you ever see in romantic comedies at all. Mm-hmm.
Well, at this point in Mavis's journey, what would be the like standard Hollywood ending for her? You know, she's not going to get Buddy. Is it like her and Matt just like decide to become a couple?
I guess. I mean, I'm trying to think of a movie.
What do people want?
A character that's similar with Jules from My Best Friend's Wedding is I guess that Jules ends up with their gay best friend in that movie.
Yeah.
So,
it's a much healthier ending in that film. You know, when he gives that great speech about, you know, there won't be romance, like there won't be love, but there will be dancing. And like, that's just enough. And that's cool. And in this film, it's super ambiguous.
Yeah.
And I don't think there is, I mean, there's so few instances of a character like this done really well and really authentically. So you've got this film, you've got You're the Worst, which the Sandra character is a pivotal character in You're the Worst.
Oh, that's right.
Oh God, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
She's Dorothy, the theater girlfriend of Edgar. And you've got Fleabag.
Sure.
And that's kind of it.
I think of Carol.
Depictions.
Kate Blanchett and Carol a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other like aesthetic, you know, when it comes to like how like dour like Carol is. But you're right. It is that type of character. And there's not many examples of this person that I don't know.
We don't know how to end that story because that story doesn't. There is no clean ending. I mean, throwing Buddy's sweater in the trash can and moving, you know, dumping her, putting her dog in the purse and dumping it in the car and just driving out of the town it's a really, you're right, it's a punk rock ending. Yeah. It's a really glorious, you know, we don't know where she's going. We don't know if she's going to do this again to someone else.
I was watching a little bit of press that Diablo was doing when she was talking about this movie, and they talked to her about sequels. And she's just like, you know, I don't know why there aren't sequels done to movies like this. Like, there's always all of the schlocky movies get sequels. Like, why doesn't a movie like Young Adult? I'm curious of what happens to Mavis. I want to see where she's at in 10 more years.
Yeah, I want Mavis at 47.
Yeah, exactly. Because clearly this book series is winding down.
Yep.
You know, so she's got to find something else to keep up this lavish lifestyle that she's grown
Keep her in
accustomed
Diet
to.
Coke.
And Caesar dog food. So yeah, what is it? What is the next step? Where does Mavis see herself in 10 years? Yeah, that's interesting. But you know, like, yeah, it doesn't have to have the Hollywood ending. I'm glad it doesn't. I'm glad it has the ending that it does. But is she a static character? Does she learn anything?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Because she does have there is a little bit of an arc there, but it just comes right back down to where
she needed that moment to be validated.
Sure.
There's a really similar moment so the moment you're talking about is her having like some change is when she's in bed with Patton Oswalt, right? He gives the speech where he says, you weren't at your best. You looked in the mirror more than you ever looked at me. I was at my best and you didn't see me. And it's really similar to, I don't know if you guys are Sex and the City people at all.
We are.
But so there's the episode, I don't remember what season it is, when Big has the heart attack. This might be season 6A.
Okay.
Big has a heart attack and tells Carrie that he loves her and like, you know, why we do this? Why are we having a relationship?
Yeah.
And wakes up the next morning and just goes right back to who he is. And we kind of see the same thing with this character where she's learned, we know she's capable of humanity or at least listening to someone deliver theirs. But not necessarily improving her own situation.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, that's how life works, you know, like if we have an event like this that happens to us and, you know, we go back to our life and it's like, there's not really an ending. We just, you know, keep working on shit. So I guess that's as good as we're going to get for, I mean, there's never going to be a sequel to this movie.
No, probably not.
We can write a spec sequel to it.
I really like Tully. I think Tully is an interesting movie that, I mean, it came out in 2018. You can tell Diablo has kind of, she's had kids. She's had a lot of time to reflect of what it is like to be a mother. That's the element that I like of that movie. And also that is a movie about postpartum depression. And I cannot name a lot of movies about postpartum depression.
There's a recent one with Amanda Seyfried that's about postpartum depression and suicide. That's like, I mean, that's a hard thing to tackle. So it's very good for what it is, but Tully is excellent.
Yeah.
It's
especially just that theme of Tully of what would your 25-year-old self think of you now?
Yeah.
Right.
To if you could have a conversation with yourself from 10 years ago.
I'll never forget one time having a conversation with an aunt of mine, and at this point she's in her late 70s, early 80s, and she's telling the story about when she had one of her daughters, one of my cousins, and, you know, and she was explaining to me this period in her life, and she's like, oh, and, you know, I just had the baby blues, and, you know, and she went on, and I was like, the baby blues?
That's such a bittersweet term for postpartum.
Like, the baby blues? Is that how they, like, diminish, like, this serious thing that you were going through? You just have to refer to it as the baby blues? I was like, oh my. She was just like, what? I'm like, you know, that's like a real thing. She's just like, it's fine. We got over it. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it's like you watch something like Tully and it's just like, this is, you know, it's a hard subject to tackle, like you said. And, It's done really well, and I didn't know where it was going, and it's one of those like rare times where I'm just like, okay, all right. I was surprised, you know, it surprised me, and it's like now, you know, we'll watch movies nowadays, and we'll like shout out a line that somebody's going to say next, and we haven't seen the movie yet, you know, like because we just like we watch a lot of movies clearly, so it's like we know how screenwriters are, and we know what audiences expect.
Well, it takes the kind of the convention of the manic pixie dream girl and does something very interesting with it.
Yeah.
Makes it it's a ghost story also on top of
It's
another horror film. I mean, she's. I hate that people hate her because she's such a genius.
Yeah.
She's such a master of her craft.
Yes.
She's working on a movie right now called Lisa Frankenstein, and it's sort of a takeoff of Weird Science, I think.
I can't wait for this.
Kind of one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this movie on the podcast is whenever I've talked about this film with a lot of people, primarily I've found the biggest fans of this movie are gay men. Gay men and probably women.
Those
women like you that I think
hang out with.
There is just something about this movie that the gays can appreciate how unapologetically awful she is. And just that genre where beautiful women can be awful.
Well, she's also she's all id, and she's going back into what's clearly she's going back into a closed society that doesn't accept or promote this glamorous person that she's become in the mini apple.
Right.
And she's coming back, and she's just like giving everybody double middle fingers, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. I was just going to mention that we to this day refer to Mackenzie Davis as Tully.
Yeah, that's Tully. Tully,
Tully's
Tully and one of the hookers from Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, I forgot that she's a Blade Runner hooker.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's a weird. This is a weird film too. I mean, this film is obviously funny. It's sad. It's dark. It's got a lot going for it. It's hard to look at this as people in our. I mean, Scott is much younger, but as people in our 40s, it's hard to make jokes about this film.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you watch it through protective eyes in a way. Like I saw this when I was 31, and it was, as I said earlier, this was like a terrifying documentary.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot that wasn't in common. I would rather die than try to get an ex back. And I will not go back to my hometown unless I'm absolutely forced. But, there's just so much about this character when you're young. That's, if you are an unlikable woman, which I very much was at the time and still am to some degree, but I was, much more like those of us who love this film. And it's hard to. I found myself as we're recording this, holding back so many dark jokes.
Right? Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know if I need to add that to what we've already got going on. This is already the saddest thing in the world.
One of the most liked reviews on Letterboxd for this movie is, "This is Lady Bird for people who hate their hometown."
Yes,
which I love.
Oh my god!
Not that I hate my hometown at all. I still find my hometown very charming. But you do have very complicated relationships with it when you move away.
Yeah, it's fun to vicariously
have
that vicarious hometown hate.
It's fun to visit.
Yeah.
I don't want to live there.
But yeah, I mean, clearly the three of us are fans of Diablo Cody. She's one of those people, for me, that I really enjoy, that they're just kind of in interview situations and behind the scenes supplemental features in the movies that she's done, talk shows. I just find her captivating just by
she's one of us.
The way she talks. It's funny without trying. She's not telling jokes, but I still just want to listen to the whole conversation because everything she's saying is I don't know, just something about her personality and her outlook and all of that. Just not just her scripts, just the way she presents herself. To me, I'm I can just watch her talk. I can watch her, I would watch her on the Tomorrow Show with Dick Cavett or whatever, and the Black Room kind of old PBS talk shows kind of a thing. If you are like us and are a big Diablo fan, she's on one of our longtime favorite podcasts, Go Bayside, the Saved by the Bell recap podcast with April Richardson. And she is on the episode The Fight, where Zach and Slater get into a fight over a girl. And she's very charming in that episode, so I would say
that was one of the first episodes of Go Bayside I ever listened to.
Because it was Diablo, yeah, I think so. Yeah, and that podcast is really funny. Even if you don't watch Saved by the Bell, it's a funny podcast. But gotta go find her.
I mean, we're huge Charlize Theron fans. I think that she's probably one of my favorite working Hollywood actresses today, and she's kind of has a really interesting story that she grew up in South Africa. Her mom pretty much put her on a plane when she was 18 years old of, you look beautiful.
To model.
Go make it as a model.
Sure.
And, I mean, when you look like Charlize Theron, it happens. But also, she can act.
Yeah.
So a lot of beautiful women try to be actresses, and it doesn't always work out.
Yeah.
She's very talented. But there's also, do you guys... Please tell me if I'm having like a fake, like Oprah implanted memory. But did her mom kill her husband because of domestic abuse?
Yep.
As self-defense?
Okay.
Yep. That's all. Yeah, that's all there. One of her early SNL hosting gigs was very funny because her and Tracy Morgan had a back and forth about being African Americans. So that was... That was a great monologue.
I like how that monologue ends with her wanting a cool
cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
He offers her a Newport.
Yeah.
He offers her a Newport, and she says she's good. She's got her cools. So I think the other thing on top of being like a great actress and beautiful and all that stuff, she has a great sense of humor. She's also a very captivating and fun person to. Well, she just seems like a cool person. Like for I don't know. I hate to go like this. She's a cool girl. she can drink and but we love Charlize. Yeah.
And is never afraid to look ugly in a movie.
And let me tell you this. I'm still mad that she's not going to be in the Furiosa movie.
Yeah.
Why do they need to go back that far and make it Anya Taylor-Joy? Come on. I don't buy that Anya Taylor-Joy is going to grow up to be Charlize Theron at this point.
No. She's one of the wives in Fury Road that they have to protect.
Yeah,
she is not No.
And she's grown already. How is this going to be like her
I can't believe that
backstory?
I can't believe that movie's already shot.
Yeah. I don't know. George Miller, I love you, but what are you doing? Just leave it. Just have it be Charlize.
She should have got the Best Actress nomination for that movie.
She should have got a Best Actress nomination for Furiosa. But, yeah. So, go watch anything you can with Charlize.
The first movie I ever watched was The Devil's Advocate with her, I think. I think that was the first movie I ever saw her in.
Oh, yeah.
Does she have the little bangs in that movie?
The same.
I don't know. I don't think that she has the Rosemary's Baby cut. She got that in the late 90s.
There's a picture of her online floating around, and it's on like a red carpet or something, and she's got the Courtney Cox Scream 3.
The bangs.
Really sharp bangs.
I'm glad that we finally got to Young Adult. This has always been a movie that I have wanted to get to on the show. And I feel like we were just... I think I just randomly texted you out of the blue of it. Do you like Young Adult?
Well, actually, this makes me want to ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
Why is this one of the movies that made you gay?
I think I mentioned it that I think that there is just something about how salty and bitchy about this character that really resonates with gay men. Of that, when you see this movie, you just kind of get it.
Well, there's also, for a lot of just men, period, but for gay men too, there's a very almost Arrested Development
stunted
thing going on, stunted growth. There's issues with high school. There's a
lot of past trauma.
There's identifying with wanting to leave everybody behind and being better than them in your fabulous, adult life in the big city. A lot of times gay guys don't get to have the high school were the best years of my life experience, and you don't get to have the exploring relationships as a young person, and you do all that in your 20s and even your 30s and sometimes in your 40s because you missed all of that stuff. So I I think there's something when you see a character like this that's kind of attached to a certain time period or whatever, or somebody that
there is something about
got out and made it.
Yeah, there is something about this character that you can identify with, even though she's being an awful person.
Yeah. But, whatever.
But yeah. But sometimes we can be awful people, too.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of the looking back on everybody else and like, those idiots, those fucking dorks. Like, if they could only see my fucking cool life now.
Beautiful one-bedroom apartment in East Hollywood.
That's the thing. The apartment doesn't matter. It's when we go out to these scumbag, dirtbag gay bars. But, we are going out at 10 o'clock at night on a weekday because we can, because we don't have any stupid babies.
Babies are boring.
Babies are boring.
You
mentioned that she sounds. You mentioned that she sounds like Kathleen Turner. She's getting driven away by her taxi.
She sounds like, but specifically Kathleen Turner in Peggy Sue Got Married.
Okay.
And yeah, which is also a favorite film of mine.
Yeah. We've been getting requests to do Peggy Sue Got Married on the show, so we might do that.
Oh my god, of course you are. It's like the best Nicolas Cage movie. It's his craziest performance. People love to say Vampire's Kiss, but it's definitely Peggy Sue Got Married.
In a long line of crazy Nick Cage performances. It's not an easy thing to be the craziest one.
Yeah.
Sure.
But when you watch Peggy Sue Got Married, you'll know exactly what you mean. Because it is a wild performance. I watch it and I'm just like, what is he doing? And Moonstruck, what is he doing? What is he doing?
Oh god, that's such a gorgeous performance. The monologue in the street. We're just here to screw up our lives and fall in love and make a mess. Like,
yeah.
Amazing.
But each Nick Cage movie from the 80s, I'm just like, what is going on? But yeah.
All right, we should probably wrap this up. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a while since we've had you over for an episode, but it's been so much fun.
It was my pleasure. I love you guys. This was the greatest. And I love this movie.
Yes, absolutely. It's on HBO Max right now, listeners. So if you don't have a Blu-ray like we do, you can go ahead and watch it on the Max.
Yeah.
If you're stealing your parents' login. So thanks so much, Kelly. We'd love to have you on again. But until then, it's time to say bye, friends. And thanks so much for listening, everybody.
Thanks so much. I can't believe this is the last month of the year for podcast programming.
Oh, my goodness.
Where did this entire year go?
Seriously, it flew by. Thanks so much to Kelly for coming on. But yeah, this...
good start to the month.
Yeah, great start to the month. And yeah, we're winding down 2022. Can't believe it. But I think right about now...
Patreon shout-outs?
Time for some Patreon shout-outs. Yes, indeed. Let's say hi and hello to all of our wonderful patrons, including brand new patron Lisa and Alexis, as well as Thomas, Mark, Jackson, Millie, Darcy, Ted, Benny, Jermel, Melanie, Christopher, Susan, JJ, Shelby, Michael, Muffy, Paul, Jamie, Drew, Genevieve, Dawn, Joshua, Emma, Melly, Aaron, Melinda, and Jim, Jessica, Nick, and Shannon, Christine, and also Rufino.
Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much
for being patrons. You guys are awesome. Head over to patreon.com/movies that made us gay for all of our supplemental features.
You'll get access to the bonus monthly episode, which is our Watch With Us commentary.
Yes.
You can watch something on streaming with us.
Yes, you could sync up the movie and the commentary track, and it's like a director's commentary, but it's us, our sparkling thoughts. Or you can just listen as you would normally listen to a regular episode and listen to it as a bonus episode. Their work is like that as well. But it's really fun when you sync it up with the movie, I think. So you'll also get access to all of our back catalog of newsletters, as well as our brand new newsletters and any supplemental features, behind the scenes photos, playlists, all that fun stuff.
Episodes when they're done early.
Yes, episodes when they're done early get posted on there, all that good stuff. So check it out. And all of your wonderful and exceptional donations go directly to keeping the show live and happening and in your ears and ad-free.
We really appreciate it.
Appreciate all of it.
You can go ahead and write us a nice review on
Apple
iTunes
Podcasts
or Spotify. We would really appreciate that.
Yes, indeed. Hit those 5 stars, write a little review. We'll read it, say your name, all that fun stuff. And we'd love it if you would subscribe and like us on all the social medias.
Yeah, Movies That Made Us Gay on Instagram and Twitter.
Movies That Made Us Gay on Instagram and Facebook.
On
Twitter,
MTMUG Pod on Twitter.
MTMUG Pod. Yes, indeed. And if you want to follow our personals, feel free to do that as well. I'm Pete. I'm at Peter Lasagna on Instagram and Twitter.
I'm Scott Youngbauer on Instagram and follow my letterbox.
Yes, indeed. You can go to the episode description to see all of that information as well. So thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.